Two Australians earn exactly the same salary. Same job, same pay, same city, same starting point. 30 years later, one retires with over $1 million in the bank, and the other retires with almost nothing but the age pension. They earned identical amounts for their entire working lives. Nothing about their income explains that gap. Everything about their habits does. And here is what the data actually shows, which is more brutal than any motivational speech. The gap between wealthy and broke Australians is not mostly about how much they earn. It is about a small number of repeated behaviors, most of them invisible day to day, that compound relentlessly over decades. I have pulled the real numbers from the Bureau of Statistics, from the HILDA survey, and from Roy Morgan, and today I am walking through the 7 habits that separate them. Not opinions, not hustle culture slogans, what the evidence says the wealthy do differently. Let's set the scene with one number that frames everything. As of the March quarter 2026, the average Australian household saves just 6.2% of its disposable income. That is down from 7% the quarter before. The typical household spends almost 94 cents of every dollar it takes home. And yet, total household wealth in Australia has climbed to around 10 times annual income, roughly $19 trillion across the country. So you have a genuine paradox. A nation that is asset-rich and savings-poor at the very same time. The wealth is real, but it is concentrating in the households that behave differently with that 94 cents they spend. Two people can earn the same wage for 40 years and end up in completely different places. And when you strip away income, luck, and inheritance, what is left is a small set of repeated behaviors. That difference in behavior is the entire game. So let us break it down into the 7 habits the data actually points to. Habit 1, and it is the least glamorous and the most decisive. The wealthy automate the gap between what they earn and what they spend before they ever see the money. Broke Australians save whatever is left at the end of the month, and the data shows what is left is almost nothing. Here is the proof in the numbers. Roy Morgan and consumer surveys find that around 70% of Australians have money left after payday, but more than a quarter, 26.5%, have nothing left at all. The single biggest reported bad habit, cited by 41% of Australians, is simply not sticking to a budget. The wealthy remove willpower from the equation entirely. The money moves to savings and investments automatically, on payday, before lifestyle can touch it. Habit 2. They own the home, and then they kill the mortgage. This is where Australian wealth is genuinely built, and the savings data proves it in black and white. The average savings balance of a homeowner with no mortgage in Australia is $62,775. Compare that to a renter, whose average savings sit at $24,890, and a homeowner still paying off a mortgage sits in the middle at $38,000. The pattern is unmistakable. Every dollar of mortgage you extinguish is a dollar of rent you never pay again for the rest of your life, and it frees up cash flow that the wealthy immediately redirect into investments. Renting forever means paying a housing bill that never ends and never builds you a cent of equity. Habit 3. They refuse to let lifestyle rise with income. Economists call it lifestyle inflation, and it is the silent wealth killer of high earners. When the average Australian gets a pay rise, spending tends to rise almost as fast, which is why so many people earning good money still feel broke. The wealthy do the opposite. When their income goes up, they hold their spending flat and bank the difference. It sounds simple, but the ABS data on household spending shows most Australians do not do it, and it explains a genuine paradox. Someone on $180,000 a year and someone on $80,000 can end up with almost identical net worth, because the higher earner spent the entire difference trying to look wealthy instead of becoming wealthy. Habit 4. They avoid expensive short-term debt like it is on fire. This is where broke Australians quietly bleed out. Buy now, pay later, credit card balances, carrying interest, and personal loans for lifestyle purchases are a direct transfer of your future wealth to a lender. Consumer research shows the third most common bad financial habit in Australia is procrastinating on paying bills, cited by 24%, which is exactly how interest and late fees snowball. The wealthy carry almost no high-interest consumer debt. They understand the brutal asymmetry. A credit card charging over 18% while a good investment returns 8% means every dollar of that debt is costing you more than your investments can ever make. You cannot out-earn interest running in the wrong direction. Habit 5. They make their money work while they sleep, instead of leaving it idle. The average Australian keeps the bulk of their spare cash in a low-interest savings account, slowly losing value to inflation. Australians collectively hold over $1.7 trillion in currency and deposits. The wealthy hold the minimum they need as an emergency buffer, typically 3 to 6 months of expenses, and put the rest into assets that grow: shares, index funds, property, and extra super contributions. The mathematics of this is savage over time. Money sitting in a bank account earning 2 or 3% while inflation runs higher is quietly losing purchasing power every single year. The same money in a diversified portfolio returning a long-run average of around 8% compounds instead. Put real numbers on it. $500 a month at 8% becomes roughly $745,000 over 30 years. The same amount drip-fed into a low-interest account is worth a fraction of that. That is not a small edge. It is the difference between comfort and struggle in retirement. Habit 6. They use the super system deliberately, not passively. For most Australians, super is something that just happens in the background, the compulsory 12% going in and never being thought about again. That passivity is expensive. The wealthy treat super as the most tax-effective wealth vehicle in the country, because it is. Contributions and earnings inside super are taxed at just 15%, far below most working people's marginal tax rate of 32, 37, or even 45%. That gap is free money for anyone who uses it. Salary sacrificing a little extra into super, using unused carry-forward contribution caps from previous years, and simply choosing a low-fee, a high-growth fund instead of leaving your money in a default option can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to a final balance over a career. Fees matter more than people think. Even a 1% difference in annual fees can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over 30 years. Same income, radically different outcome, purely from paying attention to the vehicle almost everyone else ignores. Habit 7. And it ties all the others together. They think in decades, not in paydays. Every one of the previous 6 habits only works because of time. The wealthy make decisions measured against where they want to be in 20 or 30 years, which is why they can hold spending flat, kill debt, and leave investments alone to compound. Broke Australians, by contrast, are often trapped in a paycheck-to-paycheck time horizon, where every decision is about getting to the next payday. And that is not always a character flaw. Sometimes, it is the maths of a low income and a high cost of living. But wherever you have any margin at all, the single most powerful shift is lengthening your time horizon. The wealthy planted trees decades ago. The best time to start was then. The second best time is this payday. So bring it together. The 7 habits are: automate your savings before you spend, own your home and destroy the mortgage, refuse lifestyle inflation, avoid high-interest debt, put idle money to work, use super deliberately, and think in decades. Notice what is not on that list. A high salary, a lucky break, an inheritance. Not one of the 7 requires you to earn more than you already do. That is the uncomfortable and genuinely hopeful truth buried in the data. The gap between wealthy and broke Australians is built from behaviours, not birthright. And behaviours can be changed, starting with your very next pay. You will not feel the difference in a month. You will feel it in a decade. If this shifted how you think about your own money, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. I'll see you there.